Loading snacks.
What's going on, everybody? Your Loading Snacks anime admins once again are here to discuss ReZero Season
Oh,
2,
Hi.
Episode 16 through 18. Our Thriller Park Edition, the Spoiler Boys. We have a lot to discuss this week. We pretty much lived in the past all last week with these 3 episodes, so I think that's what the focus is going to be this week is the past, specifically with Gar and Amelia. There's a lot to talk about there. So if you are ready, if you all are ready, let's dive into this. So
let's do
episode
it.
16, we dive right into Gar's past with him being inside of the ruins where the trials are taking place. He's a lot younger. It's him and a younger Ryuzu. And he's just bashing his head against the wall. Just constantly until he splits it open and we learn how he gets the scar. Only to flashback right then to present time where he apparently has made it past Otto and Ram, and he is now at the temple himself outside, bruised and bloodied, but still full of vigor, still pretty pissed off at everything. And Amelia and Subaru come out to, they finished their moment they just had. Now it's time to calm down Garfield and get him under control so we can move on with everything. And one thing that cool that happened in this moment that you mentioned last week, Gabby, was the fact that Amelia is stepping up first to confront Garfield and being assertive now. Like you can tell kind of like she's gotten past everything and she's back on business. And she kind of just lays into Garfield like, stop being a whiny baby pretty much. Like, get past it now. We kind of have to understand what's going on with you. It's time for you to put that past you and move on. And of course, he's being Garfield and yelling and shouting back. Subaru decided to step up and tell him the same thing, but it's a little bit more different coming from Subaru, I feel like, with them because they had such, have gone head to head so much.
It's like
Subaru
two guys
broke him
saying
down.
it.
Yeah.
Subaru broke him down. He said, listen, you got some traumas, but, man, I can see you're upset on the inside, but we can work on this together. You don't got to force this on us. We got our own stress, too.
Yeah. It was a real and honest, making him face his fears type of conversation. Like, yeah, I know you're mad at your mother, yada, yada. You're mad that, she left and you want to go take it out on her. So let's talk about it. Let's go handle that and move on past this. And he says he's not mad at his mother. He's mad at the fact that she left and died, and he looks at it like it's his fault. Because all he wanted her to do was be happy, he tells us. But because of himself and his sister and them being, I guess, needy kids or whatever, she couldn't find the happiness that she wanted, that she deserved. So he wanted her to leave and find the happiness, but the second she leaves Sanctuary, she practically dies, like, while traveling. So he's blaming
that.
He is mad
at her, too, because he thinks that, like, she didn't come back. Well, he knows the reason, but it's one of those childhood trauma things because, remember, he's 14 or about to turn 14. So it's like, it's a childhood trauma thing of like, I know the reason, but I'm so upset. I'm going to lie to myself about the reason and use that because he's now saying that she doesn't love him. Because I forget who he was telling when he was crying in the trial. And he was like, no, she didn't come back because she doesn't love me. And they're like, no, she did that because she loves you.
Yeah, because we do learn after him and Subaru have their last little clash and headbutt. When he does go back in to take the trial, that his mother left to go find their father. She wanted the family to be back together. That's why she was leaving. And Frederica knew about it. She was old enough at the time.
Her little freaky ass.
Yeah. And
still had that hair at that young age. It was still all everywhere. I was like, oh, no, never mind. She was always like this.
But yeah, it was cool seeing him go back and hearing his mother's words and like, no, has nothing to do with y'all kids. I'm leaving to go find your father and bring him back home so we can all be a family together. And then she dies. And after going through all that and listening to not about to say Otto, but Subaru's words and as he's trying to get him to realize everything was great. We did have a good moment where he does go to wear Tiger up against Subaru because he's so pissed off, and they have that clash. And Subaru defeats him by using Frederica's pendant with Puck inside of it to get him to calm down and come out of Were Tiger mode, which was cool that him and Puck somehow at some point came up with this plan that they never alluded us to the happening. I didn't know we just throw Puck around through random pendants, but still cool moment. I mean, what y'all think about just the opening? We finally getting closure on Garfield's past. I would say for right now. What about you, Gabby?
I was really excited to see that just because Garfield kind of spoke so openly about it, and we already kind of saw a little bit with Frederica, so it was nice to see how the two interpreted it differently, one due to mainly age, and to how she handled it by leaving, and then how we figured out he could leave this whole time, but he didn't want to because of almost the grudge he held against his mother. So it is nice to see him finally realize that, you know, my mother did love me, getting over that, you know, teenage anger and angst like Noah was talking about. That was the main thing. He knew, but he was so emotionally distraught that he couldn't accept it. So he lied to himself. Mm-hmm. And it was nice to see that character change, because you could tell at points that Garfield wanted to believe what Subaru said or wanted to, you know, do what's best for everyone in the sanctuary, but then he just kind of kept going back. You saw those little sparks of him wanting to do good. So it was nice to see where those kind of came from and to see him fully accept it.
What about you, Noah?
Yeah, that was great to see. That was fun. It was a good backstory. And like I said, it's always good to see, what's his name? It's always good to see how the writer does the characters and does different characters' backstories, because all the characters' backstories kind of intertangle into the main character's story. And that's a really cool way that they tell the story. So it was good to see his backstory finally come. It was also interesting to see Subaru's new power when he punched him out of his chest. He used the all-seeing hands, maybe, or whatever it was.
Invisible Providence, that's what he called it.
Yeah, that was
and
cool.
So we don't know if he'll have that going forward, but that was interesting to see. And now it seems like we've got, Garfield was always kind of on their side, but he was iffy because some of the loops he locked Subaru up, some of the loops he straight wanted to kill Subaru, and then some of the loops he didn't. So now it seems like moving forward, if we've checkpointed, Garfield's going to be part of the squad now.
And as long as Subaru doesn't die to ruin what he's got going on right now, we should have the version of Garfield that we need going forward.
Yeah,
them considering each other brothers.
I think we're locked in a timeline right now, so I'm gonna cross my fingers there that we're locked in the timeline.
Same here, yeah.
Because Subaru's goal is to complete the trial and save the mansion. So a lot of the issue with completing the trial was dealing with Garfield and the way that he wanted it to be done. So now that they can all do it together, they can probably help to more quickly figure out Subaru's plan. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And
also getting Amelia to do the trial too. That way he can kind of go off and save the mansion. He doesn't have to. Yeah. He doesn't have to deal with the sanctuary anymore.
Yeah.
He's got that
exactly.
Covered.
Very true. Which she does step up to kind of do at the end of all this. Once they finish dealing with Garfield and Ram have their moment. Like, you can't embarrass yourself in front of the woman you love. Like, you can't do that. You gotta be better than that, Garfield. Like, that was a cool little moment they had. Them together with Otto, Subaru, and Garfield together. They have their moment with the dragon, Patriche. Like, all that stuff. Cool. Yeah, like that little camaraderie they have, and even find out that Garfield eavesdropped on everything that Subaru said to Amelia was absolutely hilarious, because that took Subaru for a loop, and he's been distraught for like the past episode and a half about that now.
Yes,
that somebody much younger than him was so privy to that conversation, but still cool. But yes, at the end, they help him out. He seems to be on board now. He seems to be on page. And Amelia's like, all right, it's my turn. I'm going to go in here and I'm going to go take care of business, go take care of my trial that I've been struggling with. And she goes in, she starts up the trial. And when she gets to the other side, Echidna's waiting for her. Okay. But not only that, she drops some information right then before the episode goes off that she's the witch's daughter, aka the frozen witch. I know we were watching the second she said that. I know me and Gabby had said, like, well, that makes sense. Like, I felt like it was supposed to be shocking and revealing, but the second she said you're the witch's daughter. Like, oh, that makes all sense.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, like just
there's some things to note. She didn't necessarily drop the information. She called her the witch's daughter.
Yes.
So whether or not she called her that, a lot of people have called her things associated to the witch. So she called her the witch's daughter.
That's a good point.
And she didn't. And one thing to note too is right away they show Amelia's face, and then they show like blank eyes, like, you know what I mean, like when Luffy gets mad or something like that. So anytime they show that usually means the characters thinking something serious. And Amelia didn't say, I'm not the witch's daughter or anything like that. She didn't deny it.
She more so accepted
it. But I don't think that she accepted it. I just think that the way that they presented it doesn't confirm anything, because she called her that, but that's about it. She said witch's daughter.
That's a good
and
point.
Like I said, they keep shoving in little clues to try and make you think certain things. So I'm not saying that something is or isn't, but that's all I'm saying. That's important to note.
Something definitely keep our eye going as we wind down closer to completing this season. But I can give you points on that one. But we go into the next episode, and we're introduced to a very tiny Amelia and her mom, Fortuna, who apparently, from what we're learning at this point, that is her father's youngest sister. That's what we're being told. So technically, her aunt is the one that's been raising her like her own child. And she hangs out in her princess room that has a door lock on the outside that we instantly notice, like a big massive lock on the outside, so so she can't escape the room when she's in there having her princess time. Fortuna has to go leave and take care of some business, and as we learn, young Amelia, being who she is, she's one that likes to explore, and her and some lesser spirits or fairies, as she's calling them at this point, help her get out of the room and go frolic through the forest and go get into stuff. And she heads down to the village in the forest, and she sees Fortuna and a bunch of other elves with some people who look like they're from the church. And we see a younger version of Gabby's absolute favorite character in this show. Belgeist is here. Not looking demented, crazy, deranged, or anything.
They were all dressed up as witch cultists.
That's what I'm saying. Like some sort of
cultists,
a church. I don't know if they were considered witch cultists.
That was the same uniform they had when they were fighting.
No. I'm saying, but at that time, I don't know if they were.
No, but I'm saying that for the audience.
Yes, they were.
The audience can understand, because from season 1, they were basically those same people.
Yeah. But they're having a conversation about bringing supplies back and forth to help the people of the forest village, and if the seal is still intact. And Fortuna assures them, yes, everything's good. Seal is still intact. So we figured it has to do something with Amelia, but not sure what that means just yet. And we also learned that he's not allowed to meet Amelia. So just in this first interaction, what is going through your head, Gabby?
At first, I didn't know who this was. I thought this is this a relative? Is this like someone? It's like, I don't know. This is Beltagis. So I'm like, hold on. How did this character go from a completely normal, rather attractive anime character to a deformed human who I hate with all of my heart and ugly? I'm just confused, and I immediately want to know what happened to this baby, who screwed him up, what kind of trauma are we gonna see? Because there's gonna be trauma that's gonna happen apparently.
Oh yes.
So I was already interested in the storyline because it's Amelia's backstory, but I was immediately more invested.
Now I know you knew this was coming, Noah, but still I want to know, like, your thoughts. Can you recall your first thoughts going back to when you saw this for the first time? Seeing Belgies like this, like, what was going through your head?
I just remember thinking that that this, like, it was just cool that how much of the backstory intertwines into the current story, and how much they were breaking down and giving us answers to something that was a deep question in the story, which was Beltagis. And when you first saw him, you thought he was just kind of like a power of the world, and you see going forward that he's more so a power of the witch. And then you realize how strong he is. So you kind of just wonder, where is he from? Who's his leader? How does he have this power? And the people following him. So to see that and to see how he got it was interesting. And it was a really good breakdown. I liked his character and his backstory a lot. Definitely seeing the backstory moves his character as a whole up on my tier list of favorite characters, because you get to see the beginning part, which made you hate him, and it kind of gives you the Itachi feel about how they flip it around once you see the reason he did that wasn't for his own intentions. It was actually for
intended purpose. He was our main villain in season 1.
Yeah. And like the scene when they show him crying over Emilia, and for the first time seeing her, we don't know why. We know he's not her dad, but he clearly had a big involvement when she was a child because he never got to see her since then. Yeah. So that broke down his character and made you feel real wholesome about his character. And like, I really enjoyed his character after I saw that backstory. Yeah. I think we still got a little bit more to learn about him too.
I agree.
I think we do.
I think the next episode, not as far as what we're covering today, but I think probably 19 we'll get that. I think we'll get that answer, like that last fine point of his background. But yes, like that's pretty much the base of him and Fortuna's relationship right at that point.
We don't know what that thing was from the witch. Like he put something inside his body, those little squigglies, and we don't really know what they were. Like they were something from the witch. But we don't know how we got it.
We call them witch factor. All I know is that's what they're called. Witch factor.
We don't know like that
where
power,
they come from, not sure.
That power, was it a witch factor? Did they say witch factor?
Yes.
They did?
Yes. I watched all 3 of them this morning to be sure.
No, that's interesting because I didn't know that was witch factor, because we don't know like where he got it, and where he got it from or nothing like that, they haven't displayed or said to us yet. That's just what it was, apparently, witch factor. But yes, after a little bit of while, Emilia runs back off, to go hide so she doesn't get in trouble. And at some point, Emilia does sneak off again. And she ends up finding the seal. So just with her playing around, exploring, she finds where the seal is, and it's in an open, snowy field with a big black door, very ominous. Emilia doesn't think nothing too much of it, heads back to go get into something, and that's when she runs into Belgeist, which you were talking about. And immediately he knows who he's talking to, and yes, he loses it and breaks down, starts crying, believes he's just seen salvation for the first time, like he's having a whole thing. Emilia goes over to like comfort him, like it's okay, like you don't need to cry. He's like, no, I'm crying out of joy. I'm not sad. Baby Emilia is great.
Baby Emilia is
that's so cute,
adorable. She was, from her pouty faces, the whole 9 yards. She is, she's a little sweetheart.
The way she interacts with Belgeist and Mother Fortuna and the other characters that she does get to interact with is just so wholesome, and you could tell that she loves them and they love her wholeheartedly. And that's why, honestly, I think this background hurts so much with everything.
Yeah, and especially in this moment coming up, because at this point, this is what Echidna tells. Because remember, we got to remember this whole time, Echidna and Emilia are kind of like just going through watching the events that happen, and Echidna lets her know, like, okay, now this is what you've been struggling with this trial. We're about to get into that right now. All this happiness and cuteness stuff is about to go out the window. You got to face what's coming. And the family being Geist, Emilia, Fortuna, out playing chase, having fun. She's chasing Geist around, having fun. Don't really know how long it's been between him finding out and be able to see her for the first time, between them playing together.
It seems like it's been a little while, I would have to say, because they do a little montage during that. So I would see at least a week, maybe a few days, something like that.
It's enough time, I feel like, for Fortuna to be cool that he's seen her, because she probably wouldn't have been happy at first. You know what I mean? So it was supposed to be a thing, but they're having good times. We learned that Emilia is a natural spirit user, so okay, that explains how her and Puck have a good relationship, and these lesser spirits like to follow her around. Like she just has a natural affinity to it. And then somebody decides to interrupt family time, and we see Regulus, the Archbishop of Greed, show up. And unfortunately, he didn't show up alone, but we'll get into that in just a second, because it actually ends with just him showing up and everybody, putting their guards on, because we know what we're about to get into.
Mhm.
And we open up episode 18 with the original Ryuzu and Beatrice back at Sanctuary back in the day, hanging out with Beatrice's mom, Echidna. Now, they're not really mother and daughter, but that's what Beatrice prefers to Echidna as, and vice versa, which is interesting. And seeing the relationship between Ryuzu and Beatrice running around, like Beatrice is, I feel like they have an older sister, younger sister kind of vibe when they first kind of meet. Like, she doesn't really want her around, but okay, mom said so, so it is what it is. So I'm going to annoy you, but grow to like you over time type of deal. Like, what did y'all think of this whole Beatrice and Ryuzu opening to episode 18? Go ahead, Noah.
Their backstory is good. We didn't get too much, but we saw their development with Ryuzu, how Beatrice was in the what's it called, in the sanctuary back in the day with Echidna living in a standard log cabin, like a real Hansel and Gretel type witch, which I thought was funny. Saw that Beatrice and Ryuzu had a nice little sister vibe going on. They worked together, hung out together for a while. I thought it was interesting to see. There's definitely going to be some more of that, but that's all I can remember that we saw.
We did see a young Roswell show up, but not much.
Oh yeah, and young Roswell. Yeah.
Not much besides that.
Yeah, we knew he was 400 years old, so we know he was around during that time. But like I said, we didn't get too much at that point, so it was cool to see them. We just gotta wait and see more.
I agree. It'll be interesting to see where that particularly is going. But yeah, we only spent a little bit of time there. It was just like, oh, okay, this is interesting.
Yeah.
Hope to see more of this in the future, figure out what's happening there. But we need to get back to what's going on with Amelia. And they do flash right back. And we learn about the other person that has showed up with Regulus, which is somebody named Pandora, who is the Witch of Vanity. And she is giving off vibes like she's the big bad type of deal. That's like the aura she's kind of giving off. And she seems to be recognized by Fortuna and Geist. Like when they see her, like they immediately like get the magic out. They're ready to go all in on it. Like, we know who this is. This is a bad idea. All right, Gabby, your thoughts right now before we go any further on Pandora, the Witch of Vanity showing up.
Interesting to see another witch we hadn't met. I honestly thought we had met them all.
Same.
Because we had them all gathered. I thought we met them all. So it's interesting to see, and it makes me think of, okay, well, there's definitely going to be more witches. There's definitely some more than this, the silhouettes or something that we saw in some earlier episodes. I like her character design. She's really cool. Interested to see she's related to the Archbishop of Greed, Regulus, because I thought he was connected
to Echidna.
To Echidna.
Yeah.
That's great. So does she have control over him? Does Vanity have something to do with Echidna? Echidna doesn't make any indication of knowing Vanity, to my knowledge.
She looks like a younger version of Echidna to me.
A little bit.
I don't know if it's just the bushy eyebrows.
Yeah, it's just the bushy brows.
Okay.
Yeah, I could see it, but they must have some sort of relationship just on the sole fact of he's listening to her to an extent. Obviously, he's not fully listening to her, but somehow she is either commanding him or gave him information, or is just she has a connection to this, and Echidna doesn't seem bothered, but I'm not sure if that's on purpose. So I'm interested to know what the connection is and why she is here.
Yeah, I would like to know more about her. Like I said, I was taken aback. Like, I thought we had seen all the witches to this point, so this was a complete left field loop for us. But in this moment, Geist is like, Fortuna, take Amelia and just run. I will do what I can to hold them off. Please just get her and get her far away from here and get her out of here. And she does do that reluctantly. And in this moment, adult Amelia is told by Echidna that, what are you going to do now at this point? Are you going to stay here and watch what happens to you? Or are you going to stay here and watch what happens with this fight that's about to happen? You can't watch, you can't figure out both. She decides to, I'm I'm gonna stick around right here, and I want to see where this kind of goes. And this is where we get into what you were talking about, Noah, where Geist pulls out this little black box that has that witch's factor in it, and decides to put it in itself. And in that moment, once he starts taking it all in, Pandora calls him something sloth.
She grants him the title of sloth.
Yeah,
Archbishop.
The title of sloth. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So
because what's his name? He's got to do something crazy, which was the witch factor. Because we only seen 3 archbishops, which is him, Regulus, and the little brown one. And each time they show up, something crazy happens. And each witch has, well, I don't know if each witch does, but I'm assuming each witch has an archbishop that they clearly grant a whole lot of power. So,
yeah.
So far, it seems like
I want to know how he got this cursed box too.
That's what I'm saying.
I think
we're gonna have to find some more backstory. So far, Regulus seems like he's much stronger than Beltageese was. So, what is that? You know, what I mean,
how did that happen?
Witch? Who knows?
Yeah, because he's trying to take down Regulus in this moment, and he's just kind of laughing him out, like, you can't do nothing to me, you can't beat me. And Amelia does decide finally to switch location and see what's going on with her. Okay, I think that, like, she thinks that's more so what she needs to be viewing, and she does. And we get a very emotional scene where a mother and daughter have to say goodbye to one another, and Amelia does not want her to go, of course. And Amelia starts thinking it's all her fault now for being so mischievous, and then you start to see where her problems came from the beginning, like not wanting to be left alone and all that kind of stuff. Gabby, talk to us about this mother-daughter separation scene that we're going through at this point.
So it's very emotional, and you can see, just first off with Mother Fortuna, you can see that she's pulled but at this point in time, we've kind of established that she has some sort of feelings toward Beltageese, and they have some sort of relationship, whatever that be. Obviously, they hasn't, gone anywhere yet, but you could tell that she is torn because she did not want to leave him. And she also recognizes she had to save Amelia, but at this point, she knows Beltageese isn't going to survive this, and she does need to help Amelia get away, so she needs to go back to help him, and that means she needs to go forward, which is good because she meets Archie there to help her take Amelia. But their conversation, we just don't know the situation of what happened with Amelia's parents, but you can tell that it's been a very long time that her and Amelia have been together, and that Amelia has seen her as a mother figure for, I think, a majority of her life, if not all of it. Because I don't think she has much memory of her parents, to be completely honest. So she
calls her and Geist like, y'all act like mommy and daddy or something like that. She mentioned to him.
Yeah. So that is her mother figure, and like you mentioned, with thinking it's her fault, that's where those self-doubts and that negative thought process, I think this is where it all starts. And because of the unresolved trauma through all this is partially why it is her trial, because this is the beginning of all of her feelings that she just helped kind of go through with Subaru at the start of this. And it makes sense that she wasn't able to go into the trial this far, complete it, because she hadn't resolved those feelings to an extent. But I love the way Fortuna wraps up this conversation with her almost kind of negating the start of those negative emotions, going like, hey, I'm always going to be with you. I'll always come back to you. You are, you're not just a seal. You're not just you are a girl. I am your mother. I love you. And, I'll always be with you. And you can tell that near the end of the conversation that even Amelia believes her and understands that, things need to happen and everything will be not okay, but it will be okay. So she handled the conversation very well, I think Fortuna did.
Would you agree with that, Noah?
Yeah. I think that part was touching. Got the waterworks going. I shed a little tear. That scene was awesome. It was sad, and you could tell that, like Gabby said, she really wanted to help Geese because they've been together for who knows how long, but a long time. And also she talked about the seal, because I'm pretty sure that forest was put there to protect the seal. So she found the seal, And I can't say for sure, but I think that's the purpose of that village being there, is them protecting the seal or being around the seal. But so she said that if they get the seal, then there really will be the end of the world. So that's also why she had to go back. She had a lot of duties to go back, so she definitely had to leave Amelia. And she talked as if she was basically going to a suicide mission. So that part was sad. And then we got to find out what's up, because if at this point the seal was that strong and it was so coveted, how come the witches didn't come 5-6 deep? And did they beef? Did they beef during that time? Did they have were they?
Or maybe they didn't know that the key and the gate would be there at the same time. Maybe
who knows? But they could alert each other something. But I'm saying maybe that means they were beefing with each other. Maybe they did. Maybe they weren't all friends.
Yeah.
They were. They one of them wanted to find it first for whatever reason.
Yeah, whenever we find out, that's why we've never met Pandora until now.
Right.
Maybe she's the oddball out trying to do things on her own back then, and they didn't know that this is what was happening.
Possibly. I mean, you even had the time when Minerva, the loved one, was trying to heal Subaru after he bit his tongue off. But then the one who lays down in size, I forget, and she slammed her to the ground. So she slammed her to the ground. So they could all not beef with it, all not be okay with each other. But during that time, they only showed Vanity, who was around. They showed Echidna, but they didn't show what the rest of them were doing. Yeah. The rest of them could not have been friends. We don't know. We just gotta wait and find out.
Yeah, definitely with the new edition of the Switch adds, like we say with the show, more questions than answers. But yeah, she does end up leaving young Amelia and goes back to Geese, and they do have a great moment where she does admit, come on, I've always we know what this is. I've always liked you. Of course, I'm not gonna leave you here. I'm gonna come back. I love you.
Fortuna's brother. He was a goat. He took Amelia.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was
Archie grabbing her and going to save her to try to get her out. Just get past the tree line pretty much and you'll be good. Seeing that he got attacked by the Black Serpent, that was interesting.
Yeah, they haven't shown that. That's the third Mob Beast.
Yep. So now that's what killed him in that moment. He got nicked on his leg by the Black Serpent. He ends up dying while telling her, just run, just run, just run.
Boy, got hit with Amaterasu. Okay. Yeah. Don't know what it does.
Nope.
Man cuts his own leg off and it keeps going. And I was like, oh.
Yeah, that's bad. Yeah. Usually you chop your leg off, it's done. It's like no matter what, you dead.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And while that's happening, Fortuna and Gaius are getting ready for a big, massive attack. We don't see if the attack lands or not, but we do see Amelia, young Amelia, still blaming herself, kind of frustrated and crying and deciding that she's just going to go ahead and just be the key and open up the gate and just be done with all of this. And as she gets back to the gate, Pandora's waiting for her. And that's literally how the episode just goes off. And now we're stuck waiting until next week to decide. I don't think their attack landed well if they were going after Pandora with that attack, if I remember correctly, because she just showed up to Amelia. So that could be bad for our individuals over there. And do we think Amelia opens up the gate and maybe gets reclosed somehow back then? Or
what is the gate even supposed to do?
We got to find out. Something happens.
That's the thing. I don't know what the gate does. So I can't speculate on if she opens it or not, because is the gate what froze them? Is her being scared by Pandora and her unleashing of powers what froze everyone? Like, how does the seal and the gate involve this?
Right.
Maybe the gate is the opening to the Tea Party world.
Who knows? But
also, Amelia was only frozen for 7 years, and all the witches are supposed to be dead. So if that witch of Vanity was alive during that time, and she was on Earth, was she actually alive? She was short too, like Ryuzu. I keep saying Ryuzu was supposed to be Echidna herself, and she was really Vanity was really chibi. That's true, but it's just something to think about.
Yeah, this also, new witch throws things for a loop.
Because why? Because all the witches are supposed to be dead. So how was she there? That was only 7 years ago. Or how? Yeah, I think she was frozen for like 7 or 8 years when Puck.
Maybe she was a new witch that was born because the other witches died.
Maybe.
Another
Good questions. I truthfully don't know the answer to that because I don't think they talked about it in season 2.
Yeah. And with how everything happens, this is Amelia's past, so this is leading up to what happened when everyone was frozen. If everyone in the vicinity of the forest was frozen, Betelgeuse wasn't frozen. Because
we got to get up to that frozen part.
I know, but I just want to know if the seal is something that triggered the frozen, how does he get away from it?
Maybe the witch factor. Maybe that's what's going to pollute him to become the version we know in the future. Maybe that kept him from being frozen. Don't know. Just listen. We don't know how he got the purple ball of spaghetti. So,
well, we know how he got the purple ball of spaghetti. It was literally in the box, but I want to know how he got the box.
Right? Who gave it to him? Yeah, where did it come from? And if the witch's thing is such a bad thing, why did you even have it on you? Like, still a lot of questions.
Cultist.
I mean, maybe he was evil already from the start. Like maybe he was, you know what I mean, just nice because he was around Mother Fortuna, but maybe he had an evil plan. Who knows?
Once again, a lot of more. I'm glad we did get these backstories to take care of what's going on with Garth, getting to understand him, learning what's been holding Amelia back all this time. I'm very glad to get all of that, but as always, it leaves us with more questions. And at this point, there's nothing we can do. We're just waiting until next week when we figure out how this closes out. And hopefully this week we get back to Subaru possibly putting his plan in order because we are ramping up to the finale of season 2 Subaru. So we kind of need to get on the ball with that, sir.
And I got the 90-minute episode of season 3 already ready to go.
Well, so
yay!
90 minutes, baby. And called called, I think it's gonna be 16 episodes for season 3. The first part is going to be 8 episodes. Second part is going to be 8 episodes. I don't know if there's going to be more. Hopefully there will be. But
okay, but we know them well enough to, if they going to do what they're doing, give us full 30-minute episodes and all that type of stuff, 45 minutes here and there.
Like I said, first one's 90 minutes. So
excited.
I'm ready. We have a little bit more to get through before we get to that point. I know I'm excited for what's happening next. I know they're excited for what's happening next. And y'all know where to find us. Thursdays, 9:30 in Discord for next week's 19 through 21. And like I said, we're almost to the end here. So we will catch you all then in the Discord. So until next time, we will catch you all later. Deuces.
Bye.
Loading snacks.